Karen's voice sliced through the evening air like a chainsaw through butter, her shrill declaration echoing off the tidy row of suburban houses. "This driveway is ours now, so back off." Her sister, Karen too, because apparently one wasn't enough, nodded smugly, her arms crossed over a garish leopard print blouse that screamed, "I demand to speak to your manager." I stood there, keys dangling in my hand, staring at my own car, parked in my own driveway, on my own property, which I'd paid off with sweat and tears over 15 years. The audacity was almost poetic, like a bad sitcom scripted by someone with a grudge against logic. The Karen sisters, as the neighborhood had dubbed them, had decided that my driveway, the one I'd shoveled through blizzards and repaved last summer, was now their personal fiefdom. Why? Because their HOA handbook, clutched in Karen's manicured claws, supposedly said so. Let me rewind. My name's Jake, a single dad who's lived in this quiet cul-de-sac for a decade. I'm not one for drama. I'd rather mow my lawn and wave at neighbors than pick fights. But the Karen sisters, who moved into the McMansion across the street 6 months ago, had other plans. Karen, let's call her Karen Prime, was a walking stereotype, loud, entitled, and convinced the world owed her a throne. Her sister, Karen too, was her loyal sidekick, always nodding like a bobblehead at Karen Prime's every word. They'd turned our peaceful HOA into a dictatorship, slapping fines on kids for chalk drawings and lecturing Mrs. Nguyen for her tacky garden gnomes. But this was a new low. It started that morning when I found a neon orange notice taped to my garage door. Violation, unauthorized driveway usage. It read, signed with Karen Prime's loopy signature. I laughed it off at first. Surely this was a prank. My driveway wasn't public property. But by noon, Karen Prime was at my door, her face a mask of righteous fury. "Your car's too close to the street," she barked, jabbing a finger at my perfectly parked sedan. "It's lowering property values. Move it, or we'll tow it." I blinked, stunned. "Karen, this is my driveway. On my land. You can't tow my car." "Oh, we'll see about that," she sneered, waddling back to her house, her sister trailing like a shadow. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. By 6 p.m., I came home from picking up my daughter, Lily, from soccer practice, only to find the Karen sisters standing in my driveway like they owned it. Karen Prime held a measuring tape, dramatically stretching it across the asphalt, while Karen too scribbled notes on a clipboard. My neighbors, Tom and Maria, were already there, looking equal parts baffled and furious. Tom, a retired firefighter with the patience of a saint, was trying to reason with them. Maria, less patient, was clenching her fists. "Jake, they're saying your driveway's communal property now," Tom said, his voice tight. "They claim the HOA voted on it." "Voted?" I laughed, but it came out sharp. "I'm in the HOA, there was no vote." Karen Prime spun around, her face redder than her knockoff designer purse. "The handbook says we can reassign parking spaces for the community's benefit. Your driveway's too big for one family. It's unfair." She waved the HOA handbook like a holy relic, her voice hitting a pitch that could shatter glass. "We're taking it for overflow parking. Move your car, or we're calling the cops." Lily, still in her soccer cleats, whispered, "Dad, are they serious?" I squeezed her shoulder, trying to keep my cool. "Stay in the car, kiddo. This is grown-up nonsense." Maria stepped forward, her voice low but venomous. "Karen, you can't just claim someone's property. That's not how this works." Karen too piped up, her voice a nasally echo of her sister's. "It's in the rules. Page 47, section 3.2. You people never read the fine print." She smirked, as if she'd just won a courtroom drama. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through the HOA bylaws I'd saved after their last stunt finding me for excessive Halloween decorations, 2 pumpkins. "There's nothing in here about reassigning private driveways," I said, holding up the screen. "You're making this up." Karen Prime's eyes narrowed. "Don't you dare question my authority. I'm the HOA president." She stomped closer, her bulk blocking the sun. "This is our street now, and you'll do as we say." That's when it escalated. Karen too started yelling about community standards, and Karen Prime began banging on my car's hood, demanding I move it. Tom tried to mediate, but Karen Prime shoved him actually shoved a 60-year-old man. Maria snapped, shouting, "You're unhinged." Neighbors started peeking out their windows, phones in hand, filming the chaos. Lily looked scared, and that's when I lost my patience. "Enough," I roared, stepping between Karen Prime and my car. "This is my property. You don't get to bully your way into owning it. Get off my driveway, or I'll call the police." Karen Prime laughed, a grating cackle. "Go ahead. They'll side with us. We're the HOA." She and her sister planted themselves in the driveway, arms linked, like they were staging a sit-in. So I called the cops. Not because I wanted to escalate, but because I was done reasoning with people who thought they could rewrite reality. Within 10 minutes, a patrol car rolled up, and Officer Daniels, a no-nonsense guy I'd met at a neighborhood watch meeting, stepped out. He took one look at the scene, Karen Prime ranting, Karen 2 waving the handbook, and me holding Lily's hand Anne's side. "All right, what's going on?" he asked, notepad in hand. Karen Prime launched into a tirade, claiming I was violating community guidelines and endangering property values. She waved the handbook like a flag, insisting the driveway was now communal. Officer Daniels listened, his face unreadable, then turned to me. "Jake, this your property?" he asked. "Yes, sir," I said, handing over my deed, which I'd grabbed from inside. "Bought it in 2010, driveway included." He skimmed the document, then looked at the Karens. "Ladies, private property isn't up for grabs. HOA or not, you can't claim someone's driveway." Karen Prime sputtered. "But the handbook." "Isn't the law," Daniels cut in. "You're trespassing. Move, or I'll cite you." The sisters froze, their smugness evaporating. Karen too mumbled something about filing a complaint, but Karen Prime just stood there, mouth opening and closing like a fish. The neighbors watching from their lawns started clapping slowly at first, then louder. Maria grinned, and Tom gave me a thumbs up. But the Karens weren't done. As they backed off, Karen Prime hissed, "This isn't over, Jake. You'll regret this." They stormed back to their McMansion, slamming the door so hard it rattled the windows. The next week was a whirlwind. Word of the driveway showdown spread, and the neighborhood turned on the Karen sisters. At the next HOA meeting, a dozen residents showed up, unprecedented for our sleepy cul-de-sac. Mrs. Nguyen led the charge, presenting a petition to remove Karen Prime as president. The evidence: screenshots of her threatening texts, videos of her driveway tantrum, and a stack of baseless fines she'd issued. Even Karen too looked sheepish, her usual bravado gone. The vote was unanimous. Karen Prime was out. The handbook she'd wielded like a weapon? Turns out, she'd printed a fake version with her own rules. The real bylaws didn't give the HOA power over private driveways. When confronted, Karen Prime tried to play the victim, claiming we were bullying her. No one bought it. The final blow came a month later. The Karen sisters put their house up for sale, unable to handle the neighborhood's cold shoulder. As their moving van pulled away, Maria hung a sign on my mailbox. "Karen's reign ends here." It was the same one from the driveway showdown, now a badge of victory. Lily and I watched them leave, her hand in mine. "Dad," she said, "are all grown-ups that crazy?" I laughed, ruffling her hair. "Not all of them, kid. Just the ones who think they own the world." The cul-de-sac felt lighter after that. We threw a block party, complete with Mrs. Nguyen's tacky gnomes as centerpieces. The HOA elected Tom as president, and the first thing he did was shred Karen Prime's fake handbook. Sometimes justice is slow, but when it hits hard. The Karen sisters thought they could bully their way to power, but they forgot one thing: a community that stands together can't be pushed around. The end.